Well, gentlemen, welcome to the first installment of Blood, Sweat, and Beer's Face-Off. We have the two most tenured team owners in the league. For legal purposes, I have to point out that there is no affiliation at all to Nicolas Cage or John Travolta. And for our more sensitive viewers, I don't anticipate there being any actual removal of faces at any point during this episode. So hopefully that sticks. Before we get into the hotly debated topics here that we've got, I wanted to just ask you guys how you feel about the season. I know we always say like this season feels different than any other, injuries and there's all kinds of things, but this one is like no other. But does it feel that much different? John, Pancho?
It feels awful. I don't feel like a winner right now.
Now, is that because of the team that you've got put together, or the season in general?
Season in general. I think there's a lot of chaos going on, and there's a lot of weirdos out there. I mean, present company excluded, obviously.
Oh, I was going to say present company included.
Well,
all right, so it feels a little different. So, Joe, how are you feeling about this?
Uneasy. Uneasy is the word I'm going to use right now, Adam. I'm surprised that the lack of an audience or crowds. I'm surprised that really hasn't obviously affected the outcome of games.
Or has it?
Although I think New Orleans would have beat the Packers. I think that would have happened if it was normal circumstances. But overall,
a lot of conjecture there, but I hear you. See where
I'm uneasy about it.
Well, let's get into our questions that I know you guys did a lot of preparation to have some solid content here. We appreciate that. So a lot of talk about the final projection, the final standing projections, right? Keith may or may not even have found that yet, but for the rest of us, what do you think? Is it just kind of interesting entertainment, something to laugh about, poke fun at, or is there something to it? Pancho, you're up first.
I hate Wilson. He's a communist. He's a freak, and he is against football in all ways. He hates farmers as well.
I'm not sure I'm with you on the farmers piece of that, but anything to back that up?
It's much like a political campaign. I can say whatever I want, and the truth is irrelevant.
Okay, fair enough. So nothing, no comments about injuries having a factor, or the fact that it did actually adjust daily. It was adjusted already this morning based on what happened last night.
I have been watching it more closely this year, and I do believe that I think your theory is correct. I think it's looking at the rosters, it's checking injuries, it's seeing how plays go. I was under the impression that before it was once per week, but then I opened it up and watched it adjust right then and there, and I still think Wilson is a communist.
So ignore it, just poke fun, move on.
Yes.
Fair enough. Joe, what do you think?
I think Keith should be ashamed for stealing Alvin Kamara from me.
Okay. Noted.
Some would view what happened draft day as though I was just being extremely kind, and I pitied him because he couldn't remember any passwords or any recollection at all of being in this league whatsoever. And maybe I was being a little overly generous,
or maybe a little off topic.
What's the topic? I thought we were talking about
Final standing projections. Is there anything to that? Is that something that you want to look at each week and try to adjust your team if you're trending in the wrong direction, or do you care?
I apologize. I might go off on little tangents here and there because I can't keep everything together. Final projections. No, it's gonna go down to the wire. It's gonna be down to the last week. Who do I think? I mean, I think the strongest teams are pretty obvious right now. Billy.
So you're basically just saying that the projections are irrelevant. You don't need to do anything, make any adjustments to your team or your roster based on what it's saying, you just do your own thing.
No,
And
I
that's
think
what we
they,
should
I
all do.
think they nailed it. They nailed it this last week. ESPN finally got on board and said that team bye season rocketed from 8th to 4th in final projections, and they finally got right. Now, does it mean anything? Yeah, no.
Okay.
But
Solid opinion, right?
but I'm in agreement with it.
Okay, fantastic. Well, that was super helpful, both of you.
Thank you. Yes.
Let's move on to another topic. Total points. We talk a lot about that. Does it really matter who scores the most points at the end of it, other than for being just one of the tie breaks? Go ahead, Joe.
Yes, it matters.
Why does
It's
it matter?
bragging rights. It's everything. It's just because especially with 8-team league, total points, it's everybody had their shot. 10-team league, total points becomes a little less relevant. I mean, it's still important, but especially in an 8-team league, it's cream of the crop. And if you can get the total points by the end of the year or the highest marks, it matters. It's all about
two
the brag.
questions. Two questions. First question: who had the most points last year?
Last year, Hoffman, wasn't it?
So you don't even know. You know that he
No, I have
won.
no idea.
You assume
I have
that it
no
was the
idea.
most points. We're not bragging about most points. At the end of the season, it doesn't really matter, right? We're bragging about who won. So then, if it matters, what does it? And it doesn't matter for bragging, what does it matter for?
Well, it's funny you should mention that, Adam, because I think that we should create a subsidiary trophy glass for most points as a prize at the end of the year. I'm just saying. I think that needs to be injected into the league.
Sure, we'll put that one right next to auction draft, and we'll see where that one goes. John, what do you think about most points scored?
Complete crap. I don't believe in it at all. I understand you have to have tiebreakers, and we're going to have tiebreakers. I don't know what you could put in there for an alternative, but other than being a tiebreaker, I think it's crap. If I win 10 games by 1 point, I won 10 games. If I lose 9 games by 1 point and win 1 game by 1,000 points, I'm still a loser. So that's exactly what you have to say, is you have to take it for the crap that it is and understand that it has its place. If Joey wants to hand out participation trophies to everyone, hey.
Solid point.
Eat your avocado toast, buddy.
Solid point. Okay, well, interesting thoughts there. Let's make it personal. Keith, let's talk about Keith for a minute. Is he really as clueless as he seems to be when we're talking and confused about things, or does he kind of play it up and not give it a whole lot of not give it a whole lot of effort to catch on? John, what do you think?
Well, as the guy that knows Keith the best,
Mm-hmm.
And the one who put him forth for this league, I will say that Keith is as clueless as he seems. I love the guy. I love him. He's like a brother to me. But man, does he just let everything roll just past him. He doesn't care. He's not faking it.
Fair enough. Joe, any wild speculation on your side?
Contradiction. John contradicted himself. You said it. That was my thought. He doesn't care. Keith is not clueless. He doesn't care. I think Keith is lazy.
I'll give you that. It might just be laziness.
Yes, I won't say it's exclusively laziness, but I will give the occasional last minute elders meeting or last second spiritual something or other, which is 99.9% of the excuses why he doesn't do this, that, or a t'other. All that says to me is he's just dissing his elder body for like doing these last second changes, not alerting anybody, drop of a hat. Oh, you need to do this. All that says to me is that he's blaming massive disorganization and last second stuff on why he can't set his lineup. Let me ask you, when did you guys set your lineup for last week? When was Julio Jones ruled out?
Tuesday, Wednesday?
Days ahead of time.
clearly it's not entirely clueless. We're thinking there's this combination of half of it's clueless, the other half is he doesn't care enough to put forth the effort to stay on top of it.
Slap in the face. Slap in the face of the league. And it's a slap in the face blaming his elder body for dropping last minute unknown meetings on him.
I bet you the governing body themselves are personally affronted by his actions.
Probably. We should probably move on to another topic before you guys start quoting scripture here. Okay, so opportunity to rant and ramble just a little bit. John, anything that comes to mind that you wanted to share about this season so far?
I think there's a little bit of sass in the league this year. That's kind of where I wanted to go with that, is that this talk about let's start a game and only have kickers count. You know, let's do some wild things. This is coronavirus. I can do whatever I want. You know, getting a little frisky, a little sassy. On one hand, I like it. On another hand, I think that you're taking away from the sanctity of the game. You know, but, you know, to each their own. You know, if they want to play kickers against each other, that's fine. But I don't think that this should come down to blaming the season on Corona. Unless, of course, it ends. You know, if the season ends early, then we all got to gripe.
There you go. So there's a game within a game, and the inside game is the one that you're not in favor of.
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay, fair enough. Joe.
Some would say that any individual that would suggest such a radical concept would be borderline genius. Maybe even on the likes of like an Elon Musk or thereabouts, an innovator, a thinker outside the box. But I digress. We'll never know who that was. Rant about the year. I hate it. COVID has thrown everything out of works. I think we're going to see massive, just like in baseball, I think we're going to see in the weeks coming massive injuries because they didn't play preseason. Guys didn't get enough conditioning ahead of time, and it's all been thrown together in game time stuff. I think we're going to see massive injuries and upending and like team and chance ending injuries going forward. Every week is a gamble, is a wild card. And besides that, I'm done rooting for the I'm done overly rooting on my roster for the Cleveland Browns. I'm putting that to bed. I'm tired of the Browns right now, but I don't hate them. I'm just tired.
Interesting. Rebuttal there, John?
I have no rebuttal. I as weird as this sounds, you know, with me and Josephine going round and round over the years, I'm going to have to agree that I am also sick and tired of rooting for the Bengals via my roster. And I love my team. I hate my offensive line. It's a joke. It is, you know, just one of the worst offensive lines I've ever seen in the history of football. And it's embarrassing, and it is killing my two Bengals roster players, and I'm sick of playing them for minimal points.
Fair enough. It's tough on the homer picks when you're a Bengals and a Browns fan and a Washington fan. All right, so interesting. Go football team. Interesting thought. I don't know if anybody caught the speculation that there may not be a full slate of games this weekend because of some COVID outbreak. Reaction, overreaction? Do you think that this will affect this weekend and possibly the season?
Yes and yes. Yep. You know, the only reason baseball got away with it when the Miami Marlins had the outbreak is because they play 7,000 games in the season, and they could easily, and they don't play. I mean, the schedule can be easily manipulated. You can't make the football. You can't make up a game. Like you could probably try to arrange it. You know, maybe do like a Thursday night, Monday night makeup game, and then Thursday again. Like, no. Once it starts to roll, I think they're going to shut the whole thing down.
All right. Do you think that that will be this weekend?
No.
Nope, not yet.
Not yet.
Okay.
Unbelievable.
Well, it sounds like we'll have to watch that because they're shutting everything down for the next couple of days. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. So as we wrap up, your thoughts on strongest team? Do the standings and the most points scored, do they reflect the strongest teams as you look at the rosters? John, you're up.
I don't necessarily think that the standings reflect it quite yet. I'm incredibly impressed by Billy's team. I mean, I think Billy has been, he has been impressive. I also think that no-name guy that doesn't talk, his team has been quietly pretty good. I mean, I got beat by him this past week, but even still, I think he's been putting consistent numbers. If his weeks keep going like that, he's going to do fairly well. I also think that there have been some surprises. I thought Aaron's team would be a little stronger out of the gate, than it has been. But then he was super impressive, and then not as impressive. I think that it's still got to even itself out, and I still hate 8-team leagues because of this.
Duly noted. Joe, what do you think?
No, the current standings do not reflect the strongest teams. Keith is literally one injury away from being the worst team in the league. Alvin Kamara, God rest his soul. But no, it's one injury away. Billy, that's a true reflection. It is alarming. I think he does have some overproducers. Kudos to him picking that rookie out of Kansas City. I would have never seen that coming. So kudos to him. I think Billy's team, he's managing the socks off of his team. So kudos to him for managing it well. So that's pretty good. Yeah, I think the next 3 weeks, we need 3 more weeks, and I think it will be the top 4 teams, number 1 and number 2. I think that will be very telling for the rest of the year. I will.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you guys. Appreciate all of the insight that you bring with so many years of experience here with in the league, in the Blood, Sweat, and Beers Fantasy League. So we appreciate that.